broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, Kentucky, Louisville, to be specific. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Unhappy Hour here on the TNAM network, here at the New American Media, because the old American media has failed us. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate having you here. Make sure you're following us on all the platforms. We're now on Parler, The New American Media, YouTube, youtube.com/The New American Media. Click subscribe, do all that jazz. On Twitter, we're two places. We're on at American_media_, and then at The Unhappy Hour _. So one's sports, one's the general news page. Facebook, screw Facebook. They've deleted the New American Media page. No explanation, no rhyme or reason, no attempt to remedy the situation, any alleged issues. Just been silenced and erased, and that platform is done for me. So moving along, make sure you're following us on all the great places because we're cranking out content. We're getting back into the swing of things, and we are yet at another one of these milestone moments. This is, of course, the NBA draft, and if you are a Cleveland Cavalier fan like myself, the NBA draft has been massive. It's been quintessential. It's been revolutionary for our industry. Ted Stepien, the previous owner, was so bad with the draft that they changed the draft rules to make sure you can't do what he was doing. And then, of course, with the Cleveland Cavaliers and all of the number one draft picks of the early 2000s through the mid 2000s, it's been a very great moment for us. And of course, within this strange season with health issues being of major concern, it's a nice reminder that life marches forward. And here we go, brand new franchises. They're going to get new faces for these franchises. And so we're bringing in Zach today. Zach, first off, thank you for joining us again to talk about another NBA draft. First off, for anyone who missed you on all of the previous years of our shows, can you give us a quick rundown of your involvement with the collegiate basketball world, the NBA, if you will, and then we'll kind of veer into the number one pick of today's draft?
Yeah, I worked as a manager at the University of Arizona for a few years, working with the basketball team, and then also worked in the NBA for a few years, too, as a scout. Did that scouting collegiately and doing advanced NBA scouting for a few years, and then career took a turn and decided never to turn back to basketball. So kind of lost my love for the game a little bit when working in the industry, but still have the love for basketball, still love everything about the game. And just, you lose your job once, you don't want to be moving around anymore. And it just, there's no stability in the industry, for most teams, most front offices. So, I called it a day, moved on with my life, and was able to enjoy basketball again as a fan.
Yeah. A lot of times, you get too involved in an industry and you're not able to look at it the same way. Living in Hollywood for as long as I did, and you lived out on the West Coast as well. But
Yeah, I was in Hollywood as well. I was actually in Hollywood. You were over in Culver, weren't you?
Yeah, Culver City, but near Alex Trebek in Sony Studios. I still regret not getting on that show. I auditioned for it a few times, didn't make it.
My buddy was on it last November and actually won.
Really? That's great.
Yeah, from Shaker Heights. So yeah, he was on it and won like $36,000.
Oh, that's way better than mine. My game show was with Carlton from Fresh Prince, and I won $6,000. It was a great day. I won. It was on the Game Show Network, Catch 21. Alfonso Ribeiro. Yeah, he was singing to some gangsta rap in between the final round. He had the whole crowd hype. He was dropping F-bombs like to Biggie Smalls. Like he went gangsta for a little bit. It was almost like the Wayne Brady skit in real life. It was crazy. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, so you have been involved in basketball your whole life. You love the sport. And, this whole season, talk about, before we get to the number one pick, Anthony Edwards out of Georgia, being picked number one overall. Talk about the strangeness involving the lead up to this year's draft, because obviously March Madness being canceled. Like, what are we all dealing with here trying to understand what this draft is?
Talk about the sport that had the biggest cluster. You know what? It was basketball. And it's not the NBA's fault. It so happened in the middle of the season. Don't forget, baseball wasn't being played yet. We were in the middle of spring training at that point, the very beginning of spring training. The NFL had 7 extra months to prepare for this. The NBA just hit them right in the head. Nobody knew what was going on. I was at one of the last games, if not the last home game for the Cavaliers right before COVID. And everybody, and we had just heard that Rudy Gobert got it, and everybody, the league had shut down basically. They gave it to Donovan Mitchell, and all of a sudden the league just shut down. And then all of a sudden, college basketball in the middle of the tournament shut down. And that's when these kids shine. That's when you see kids come out of nowhere in the NBA draft and rise to the top. Look at Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony was a middle-of-the-road first-round prospect, maybe late first round, going into the NCAA tournament in the Big East back in the day too. What did he do? He shined in the Big East tournament. Syracuse got to the tournament, won the Final Four, won the national championship. Carmelo was the number 3 overall pick. Should have been the 2nd overall pick, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
He
Darko.
really was the second best player going into that draft. And when you take a look at it, what he did, he was phenomenal, and that was his time to shine. You look at other guys who've shined in the tournament. Look at Derek Williams with the University of Arizona, getting Arizona to the Elite Eight that year. Look at Kemba, and that was 2011. Look at Kemba Walker, same thing, took his team to a national title. Kemba was relatively, a mid-round, mid-tier prospect going in there, shined on the national stage, was going to the Bobcats, with an early pick, with the 8th or 9th pick in the draft that year. So you have to take a look at it and you watch guys shine on the national stage in the tournament. That's when all the scouts are there. That's when they get all the notoriety. That's when it's much easier to break down film because these guys are going, they're playing, 2 days a week, but, their practices are filmed and everything. It's a totally different scenario. So a lot of these kids come alive on the national stage. This year, unfortunately, we didn't have that. So you have guys like Anthony Edwards. You've got a guy, LaMelo Ball, who didn't even play in college, who I was fortunate enough to get to watch at Spire Academy in person against Brush last year. Was I overly impressed? No, but we'll get to that when we go break down everything and go through the prospects. But again, this is such a unique season, and you get to the playoff, and you see teams who weren't very good during the regular season, like Portland and Phoenix, just take off in the bubble.
Right.
Took off. I mean, they were phenomenal. I was hoping whatever I could do to see Phoenix in the playoffs because they were so much fun to watch.
Well, Phoenix just pulled off a big trade today or yesterday. When was that?
They did. Chris Paul trade.
Yeah, tell us about that too.
And looking at that too is, Phoenix suddenly became a strong contender in the West. If Devin Booker can ride on what he did last year, towards the end of last season, and DeAndre Ayton can improve his play with Chris Paul, kind of like what DeAndre Jordan did, back in the day when Chris Paul joined the Clippers. And DeAndre Ayton has a much higher ceiling than DeAndre Jordan ever did.
Yep.
It's not a knock on DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Ayton was never an overall pick.
Right.
The Phoenix Suns could be a blast to watch this year. They really could. They're
Heck
an
yeah.
interesting team to watch. They're a lot of fun too. And Chris Paul makes everyone around him that much better.
Yeah, he's been elite level for a long time.
He's always been one of my favorite players on and off the court. The guy is just, I was at his bowling event in LA for years. He just really is such a talented athlete, and he's such a good guy on and off the court. He's one of those guys that you can't help but root for him.
Right.
I've always loved Chris Paul. CP3, the city of New Orleans just embraced him, and he did the same thing even after he left. You would always see him wearing the New Orleans shoes, everything. He just loved the city so much, but they didn't have an owner. So he really had to leave. There was, nobody knew what was going to happen with the organization when, before Tom Benson purchased them.
Here's a question. You're here in and look, we're going to get to the draft in just a second. Anthony Edwards goes number 1 out of Georgia to the Timberwolves. We'll talk about it in just a second. Everybody else is talking about that, but we're going to work our way into the show if you don't mind. But what do you? Yeah, what is your take on James Harden? I saw a story that the ownership is playing a role in whether he wants to play for that franchise or not, and because of his politics. Is this all blown up nonsense, or is this really the story? I don't know if you've seen this, but
I honestly don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, again,
that's fair.
One thing, and we all know today about the media with a bunch of BS going on. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's from the right or the left. It's BS on both ends. Like I can't turn on the news anymore and say, is this true? Is this not true? I have no clue anymore. I really don't. So I don't watch the news anymore. I read it. Yeah, I read from reputable sources, and that's it now. From different reputable sources. But I can't even sit there. I can't turn on CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, or Fox News that's getting more than 20% truth out of it. Just all these networks are so biased.
No, that's fair. And we can add ESPN right there. ESPN, ABC, Disney.
ESPN does the same thing. Yeah. We've witnessed people like Jamil Hill losing her job because all she does is talk politics. All she does is talk politics is where she's got awful. I had to stop watching ESPN because of her. Certain people, it's like I can't stand Skip Bayless. I can't stand a lot of those guys on ESPN. I don't like talk shows. I like Sports Center. I do like NFL Live. I always like Baseball Tonight, and NBA The Jump's a good show too. But the opinionated talk shows for the most part are what I can't stand. Like Get Up, Cold Pizza or whatever that was. Those are just brutal. Watching Stephen A. Smith and and those guys go at each other. It's horrible to watch. It's awful television.
Right. Yeah, I like the who's the guy? Jay Crawford. I like Jay Crawford. He was a little.
Crawford's great. Now he's on the local news in Cleveland. Jay Crawford's fantastic.
Yeah, Bowling Green guy as well. I'm a fan.
Jay Crawford now lives in Cleveland. He's on WKYC, Channel 3. But getting back to it though, speaking of news with James Harden. James Harden clearly, I think, went out of Houston. I think he realized he's not going to win a title there.
Right.
But again, I don't know if James Harden's capable of winning a title, to be honest with you. He's a ball-dominant performer who I could never see him pairing up with LeBron James. Just takes way too many shots. His usage rate is way too high. And him and Russell Westbrook together were just kind of a disaster last year. It was never really meshed. It was never really a fit. I don't understand where if he went to Brooklyn, if Kyrie Irving was unhappy playing second fiddle to LeBron in Cleveland, boy, are you going to be in for a rude awakening in Brooklyn playing third fiddle and being the Chris Bosh / Kevin Love to James Harden and Kevin Durant. I just don't see the fit there, to be honest. I think Brooklyn has a really good team. I think they're the best team in the East if they're healthy. If you take Durant from 2 years ago and you take Kyrie from a couple of years ago too, and it all depends on health. But Brooklyn was already a borderline playoff team as it was without those two guys last year. I like Karis LeVert. I like Spencer Dinwiddie. I like Joe Harris. I think they have a really, really good core in place in Brooklyn. If I'm the Nets, I stick to what I'm doing. I don't give up any of that talent for James Harden right now because I don't think it's going to play in their favor. I think Brooklyn can much rather move and see who doesn't mesh during the season. That's when you make a trade. But I don't think James Harden's the answer there. I really don't. I don't think they need another high-volume score. I think what they need is just depth on their roster at this point. They're already going to go in there. LeVert's a borderline all-star as it is. They've got Dinwiddie's a very serviceable player. So is Joe Harris, former Cavalier. They're one of those teams that you got to let them see how they play first before you go and make a ridiculous move adding James Harden. And blowing up the roster. Kind of reminds me what the Lakers did. It was in 2010, was it, or 2000? Yeah, maybe 2011 or 2010 when the Lakers went out and got Dwight Howard and Steve Nash. You already took a good team with Kobe and Pau Gasol, and you added guys who just didn't fit with your roster. I mean, don't forget Kobe Bryant never played with an elite level point guard. He's a ball dominant player. He never needed to play with an elite point guard. Also, and this was also when Mike Brown was the coach. They stopped running the triangle offense. So, they were running a totally different scheme, and just none of the pieces fit together. You had a team full of all-stars, but nothing meshed.
We were high on that team at the time.
But now I'm very weary about it too.
Yeah.
Nothing meshed with that team. Nothing. Steve Nash was old. Dwight Howard has proved, he wasn't a fit in LA at all. I mean, he just hasn't been the same type of player since he left Orlando. Let's just be honest. Last season, he was a very strong contributor to the Lakers, though. He was one of those guys who helped them win a title. He was very, very good as a role player last year with them. He was excellent.
Yeah, and that's what LeBron's teams do. You get the older players with the experience. You get a lot of experience sitting at the end of that bench.
Yeah, LeBron doesn't want to play with. I mean, LeBron proved, if anything, this past season, he's still the greatest player in the world. I mean, I went into last season going, the The Lakers are going to win a championship. Yes, the Clippers are good. They're not going to beat LeBron and Anthony Davis in a 7-game series. They're not. Paul George is the most irrelevant superstar in the NBA. Everywhere he's gone, his teams are better without him. Take along the Pacers. He gets traded for Oladipo. The Pacers are better without Paul George. Okay, let's go to the Thunder. Thunder, they trade Paul George over to the Clippers. The Thunder are better without Paul George and without Russell Westbrook, for that matter. And if the Clippers go and manage to move Paul George's offseason, they'll probably be better without him too. Well, they never, none of those teams, even when he's injured, never seem to lose a step without Paul George.
Let me ask you this: now that we kind of worked the Oklahoma City Thunder in a little bit, a lot of these players have worked their way in and out of the Thunder now. What do you make of what their GM's doing down there, collecting all those picks? I mean, you want to talk about Sashi Brown.
Well, Presti's done some unbelievable things at the beginning of his tenure with the Seattle Supersonics. Taking Durant, taking Westbrook, and then taking Harden. He did some amazing. And even Jeff Green wasn't a terrible pick either at number 5. However, he also screwed up royally on the James Harden deal when he traded James Harden. I mean, don't forget, that was a team of 3 future superstars assembled together that only went to 1 championship. 1.
That's...
One championship. They should have won in 2016. They should have beaten the Warriors. They were up 3-1 and blew that 3-1 lead to Golden State. And then Durant went and joined them. But, I mean, talk about a colossal mistake. And that was a lot of it was on ownership because ownership didn't want to get into the luxury tax. And then they realized it was time to keep Russell Westbrook or Kevin Durant. They did whatever they could to get in the luxury tax. So they did whatever they could at that point, but it was too late. It was too little, too late.
It's so weird trying to understand when you take your shot. When is your window open? When is your window closed? When do you blow it out and rebuild? That's so hard to figure out sometimes.
I think a lot of teams learned from the Cavaliers. Their first go round was said, okay, you need to wait till the superstar matures. Because LeBron wasn't ready to win a title. Even his first year in Miami, LeBron didn't have that killer instinct yet. He did, but just not in the finals. And, we witnessed it in Cleveland for a couple of years that they couldn't get past Boston. I mean, Orlando, and then Boston. And then he goes and joins the Heat. He gets past Boston, but Boston was over the hill by that point. And then he goes and gets smothered by Dallas, and it's like, this isn't the LeBron James I know in the finals. And then all of a sudden, he wins his first finals, and then he becomes the real LeBron James. He did. And then he went on to win another one. And the next year, Dwayne Wade got hurt in the finals, and San Antonio was just a better team. He comes to Cleveland, took them on their back without Kevin Love in the finals, with an injured Kyrie Irving, gets Cleveland in the finals, gets them in 6 games against a Warriors team where they had no business even winning 1 game without those two. The Cavaliers were beat up. They were starting James Jones.
LeBron was playing out of his mind. Him and Delly, him and Tristan, him and Mozzie. Right? Like, I mean, like he was out of his mind good in that series and came close to taking him out. I really think everything would have changed.
2-1 in that series. I mean, they were up 2-1 in that series, and it was pretty unbelievable what they were doing without it was just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And then 16 is a whole nother different story. I mean, I still can't get over. I mean, even though LeBron left the second time, I wasn't even mad the second time he left for LA. I wasn't. I couldn't be mad anymore. Was I happy? No. But I still wish him success in LA. I thought it was a horrible move when he first went to the Lakers. I was like, I don't understand this at all. It literally made no sense to me when he went to the Lakers, other than, okay, his basketball career doesn't care about it anymore because that team was in such cahoots. I mean, you look at the way the Lakers assembled that roster, bringing Lance Stevenson and guys, all they were doing is bringing in slashers who couldn't shoot the ball. Trying to break up what LeBron's done so well his years in the NBA is let LeBron drive to the hoop, keep the lane open, and bring in a bunch of shooters who can kick out to on the perimeter. That's why the Cavaliers were so good. And today's NBA is dominated by the three-point shot. So what the Lakers did when they assembled their team the first year LeBron was there, you had to question every single decision the front office made. that Rob Pelinka made. He got very, very lucky being able to trade those assets for Anthony Davis, because Anthony Davis.
Well, I don't know if I would say lucky. I don't think LeBron's playing chess. LeBron has this stuff worked out several moves in advance. If they didn't know that their buddy David Griffin could pull this off to wheel and deal, and whoop, lo and behold, this becomes the number one pick. You know, I look, we've seen enough interesting stuff going on with the NBA to you know, maybe it's just me, but I'm pretty sure LeBron knew that Anthony Davis was going to end up with the Lakers come hell or high water. They probably had about 10 different contingency plans that were all going to work, almost similar to an election. If you know how to rig it along the edges, it's almost like you can make anything happen if you're the number one most dominant player that's ever held the ball, not named Michael Jordan. I don't know that he got lucky. I feel like him and his boy AD had this worked out a long time ago. I mean, I get your point. They were headed one direction. It didn't go well. He got injured. Look, this year I was happy. Obviously, I lived in LA for 15 years. You were out there for several years. I was happy for the Dodgers. I was happy for the Lakers. I was happy for LeBron, even though I can't stand his politics. I was still happy for him as the greatest basketball player of all time.
I'm the same way. I was very happy he won a title out there. I was happy. Listen, I would take them winning over the Heat any day too.
Oh yeah.
I genuinely, especially after what happened with Kobe Bryant, it was hard for the Lakers because LeBron. I have to tell you, LeBron in the city of Los Angeles really embraced LeBron after Kobe passed, and LeBron couldn't have performed any better with the people of Los Angeles because I lived in LA for 4 years. I know what Los Angeles, what Kobe Bryant meant to LA. He was a god there. He was. You know, he was the all-time favorite Laker of everyone, even more so than Magic Johnson or Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, Jerry West. The list just goes on and on. Shaquille O'Neal. Kobe was the Lakers' favorite son. He was. And when Kobe passed last year so tragically, I mean, LeBron handled that situation with class, came out there and just embraced everything that Kobe Bryant meant to LA. He did. Really did. This is all pre-COVID. And LeBron really, really hit a home run with that. He did. I'm not going to sit there and say it any other way.
Well, good, because he's had a lot of strikeouts with other stuff. But, yeah, I think...
Yeah, politically, yes. I agree with that. I don't always agree with LeBron's political opinion, but he is entitled to his own opinion. He is, like we all are. As Americans, we are all entitled to our own opinion. I want to state that very clear.
Yes.
We're all entitled to our own opinion, and that's the best part about freedom of speech.
Absolutely.
Even though there are times where people try to suppress it nowadays.
More speech. You know, the only thing that takes care of bad speech is more speech. You should let an awful opinion stay out there so you can debunk it, talk trash about it, show the facts.
That's the point.
That's free speech, man.
You know what? If he wants to, that's the thing is like, listen, you don't have to agree with this platform, but bringing voting into the arenas and getting more people to vote. This is not a site about illegal votes or anything. I don't want to get into that. But I'm saying, though, getting more people to vote and, and making it easier to have polling stations. Like I voted at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. It made it so easy to vote. Rather than going to the old Stone Church and having to wait outside in a cold day during COVID, I get to go right inside of the Cavs arena, go vote, and there was absolutely no line there. I walked in and out in 5 minutes. It made it so much easier to go vote in such a large area. And the Cavaliers, especially, I don't know if you've been to the new Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse since the Cavs renovated, but their atrium is massive when you walk in the arena.
Yeah, that was part of the thing. They expanded it out further to the sidewalk. That was part of the deal or something like that.
When you walk in the northeast corner of the arena, and the whole eastern side of the arena, the whole northern side of the arena is huge. I mean, it's just gorgeous. You feel like you're in a mall or a museum. You don't feel like you're in a basketball arena, which is a good thing. I mean, there's just so much here. They've expanded the concourse. It was always a very tight concourse. But I'm saying, though, the Cavaliers pay a lot of homage to LeBron in there. They really do. He's on every elevator bank. It's all about the 2016 Cavs in that arena. It really is.
It's a great moment. It's a great moment. It's the most unbelievable comeback, the most unbelievable Cinderella story of all time in basketball, I think. LeBron coming back to win that first one for his hometown team against the 73 win all-time greatest Golden State Warriors of all time, down 3-1. I mean, this is the stuff Disney writes movies about. This is like the unheard of story that like culminates in the perfect crescendo. I hope it just oozes of 2016's glory, because that was Cleveland's glory too. I mean, that was the year the RNC was in town. The Indians were in the World Series. The Cavs won the Cavs won it all.
The Browns went 0-16.
Yeah.
It was a huge year.
But going 0-16 pushed us to where we are today. You know, we had.
We were 1-15 and 16.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, I did that. And if you guys haven't watched the documentary, look on YouTube on this channel. It's called Football Equals Family: The Story of the Cleveland Browns Perfect Season Parade. I trailed Chris McNeil around, the founder of the parade. I think it came out really well. It really showed generations of Cleveland sports fans. But no, that's cool, man. Look, I'm looking forward to getting back there and seeing the arena. I was looking at the age of basketball arenas, and what was it, 1994 that Gund Arena opened?
94, but you walked in there, you wouldn't.
Okay.
2020.
Okay, so it feels current and contemporary.
Nothing about that arena. You would think you're in a brand new facility if you walked in there. Now, one piece of that arena screams 1994.
Okay, so
I'm talking renovated concourses on the floor. Renovated first floor concourse is massive. The second floor club, everything has been enlarged. Everything, not one of that piece of that arena is really original, other than the original court club.
Okay. So
that's the only piece that's even similar.
So, we're watching some really bad weather game. By the way, I want to acknowledge Malcolm Prophet over here in the live chat. Thank you for following us on YouTube, watching us live. We're going to get to the draft in just a second. We haven't talked basketball in so long. We're covering we're two Cleveland fans, and then we're going to get to the rest of the league. But Malcolm Prophet is saying Kobe was the Prince of LA. Kobe was the Prince of LA. And of course, the Fresh Prince of LA.
Kobe was the king. Will Smith was the Prince of LA.
He was the Fresh Prince.
I lived there. No one compared to Kobe Bryant. I'm telling you, he was the most popular athlete in LA. It wasn't even close.
Well, they had there were no football teams there when you were there.
Even with the Rams there and the Chargers,
they still don't. Raiders should have made sense. The other two don't. Moving on.
I don't mind the Rams going back. I hate that the Chargers moved. The Chargers. I love the Chargers in San Diego. I used to love going to Qualcomm Stadium. Going to the games on there when they would face the Browns.
But that stadium,
that stadium was a piece of junk.
A dump. I said it was the home.
It's either
good.
It was funny. You go to a game there, and either your seats were, can I see the scoreboard today, or can I see the video board? It's not going to be both. And if I sit in the lower deck, I have to stand up. There's a Simpsons where they I think they're prank calling Moe's Tavern, and Mo answers, Moe's Tavern, home of the world's smallest large screen TV. And I kind of took that joke and I just said, the Chargers are the home of the NFL's smallest big screen TV. I mean, it was such a tiny scoreboard. You go, there's no way this team is staying here. They're almost laughing at their fans, saying, "No, we're going to invest nothing." Such a fun market. I mean, if they would have built the downtown stadium, it would have been just perfect. We could talk about the NFL and moving teams. I could do a whole segment on that, talking for days. But Kobe really was everything about Los Angeles. He really was. No matter what, even when USC football was at its best. Those guys were the kings of LA at that time too, when they had Leonard Bush, and the Bush push and all those teams that Pete Carroll had there, and ultimately USC faced their ultimate demise when Pete Carroll left. Mm-hmm. They were nothing after he left. The Dodgers, again, people love Sandy Koufax. People love the Bob, when Bob Gibson, and sorry, Bob Gibson was at the top of my mind when he passed away. I think Kirk Gibson.
That's true, yeah.
Kirk hit the home run back in '88. It was those times, but again, nothing compared to the Lakers. The Lakers were the team. They were the equivalent to the Yankees of Major League Baseball, basically to the Steelers, of the NFL. Or the Montreal Canadiens of the NHL. It was the Lakers were just, them and the Celtics are the two most winningest franchises of all time. And people in basketball love the Lakers. I mean, that's what it is. Like, Laker basketball is diehard. People love them out there. I mean, it's a wine and cheese crowd, but the fans love the Lakers.
Very true. Very true. Look, I was happy to see things play out. Obviously, I would have rather had the Cleveland Indians, put it together. And by the way, we can get into it later. We can talk about Trevor Bauer and Shane Bieber. Holy crap. Cleveland pitching is cranking out some fantastic talent.
Don't forget Carl Willis. Carl Willis has coached 5 Cy Young Awards. CC Sabathia, Cliff Lee, Felix Hernandez, Rick Porcello, and Shane Bieber.
Wow.
This is all since 2007. Carl Willis has been the pitching coach. And don't forget, had Bauer last year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and don't forget, he was also, what's his name? Mickey, what's his name?
Callaway. Mickey
Callaway, yep, was the pitching coach when Kluber won both times.
I have a baseball right here. If you're looking on the screen, I have a baseball on my desk. It's signed by Mickey Callaway, Edwin Encarnacion, Trevor Bauer, and a few other people when they played in Anaheim. It was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
So, you look at that and you go, okay, wow, what the Indians did. They have no offense. I don't want to get into it completely again. We'll see how free agency goes, but expect the Indians to pretty stay dormant.
Yeah.
In free agency, yes, they'll hit the trade market like they always do. But, it's gonna be tough getting rid of Lindor. But, I mean, again, the Dolans don't have that kind of money, and I don't believe in paying a player $40 million a year under any circumstance. I don't think any player's worth that kind of money unless it's Mike Trout. He
hasn't been lights out. I mean, Frankie's he's a good player.
That's the thing is you can go and replace him with a guy like Michael Brantley for $7 to $10 million a year. Go out and get, another guy like Cesar Hernandez, who's our second baseman who can hit the ball decently. You can go out and replace him with 4 players for 1 and get a higher win above replacement as you would than with Lindor for $40 million a year, spending just $18 to $20 million a year on those 4 guys. So, again, you have to take the weighted risk. And in baseball, when these guys are getting their 10-year contracts, they're never playing, they're never any good in the last 5 years. So you're essentially paying the player a ton of money to, put up crappy stats the last 4 or 5 years in uniform. I mean, look at Albert Pujols.
Yeah.
You look at guys, A-Rod wasn't amazing at the end of his career. Jeter wasn't amazing. These guys all get overpaid to come pitch a few years. To pitch like 3 to 4 really good quality years, and they're making money for sucking the next few years. I mean, look at Miguel Cabrera on his voided contract. It was unbelievable for most of it, but he's close to 40 years old now.
Yeah, you're really overpaying. And
Detroit stuck with his $35 million a year salary, paying a guy who can't hit and can't run.
Very true.
So that's the problem with this. In Detroit, what did they get out of it? A couple World Series appearances? Yep. No titles. The thing is, what did the Angels do? Pay Pujols, pay all these guys tons of money, and they can't even get to the playoffs.
But look, let me. It's very true. And man, it's been too long since we've done this, Zach. We got to do more shows regularly. This is on me. I'm raising my hand. It's totally my bad. It's okay. I'm bringing it back. We're gonna do it. I mean, there's so much to talk about the Browns even, but today's about NBA, and we're talking about championships and the contracts you have to sign. It's really advantageous to get some of these young superstars and to get them through their first contract, sign them onto their next contract, and really build your team around. Like you said, year 1, LeBron wasn't ready. Year 1, Miami, LeBron wasn't ready. You got to find the right combination of players at the right windows of opportunity in their career path, and it is a gamble. And something I wanted to bounce off you, I was curious to get your thought. When I say, I'm gonna say a phrase, and I want you to say the first thing that comes to mind. I'm gonna do a few of these, okay? I'm gonna
like Harvey Weinstein, where then I say pedophile, or you guys, or not pedophile. I say rapist, and then you say Jeffrey Epstein. I say pedophile, or are we doing like that? Or are we doing like?
Are we gonna do Mary?
One word answer.
Are we gonna do Mary?
Or you say mosquito, and I say fight. Like that kind of thing.
So, we could take this so many directions. Oh, there's infinite jokes here. Especially with biting. That was Marv Albert talking about the NBA and biting. Come on, Marv Albert.
I thought he was a cross-dresser.
No, he bit the lady in her butt and his teeth print was in his inner butt. Oh, you got to look up the story. That was the perfect joke, and it was wasted in this
I
moment.
thought he was a cross-dresser back in the day.
Oh, he might have been as well. Let me tell you another good joke I heard today. Chris McNeil, who put together the perfect winless season parade, reflog _18.
I love it. I love what he was doing all week with the Make America Great Again marches, taking the 2016 crown, all these people retweeting. Like how great the crowds are.
He's been telling that joke for years, and
it works. It's been working for 5 years now. It's been hilarious.
And
every time I always laugh when I'm reading it on Twitter. I can't stop laughing.
So I think it was late March, maybe early April. I said there was an article from the Onion. No, I'm sorry. It was from the Babylon Bee, and I think this was right at. Oh, it's so funny. It's probably the best satire site on social media. But it said this was at the height of what was going on, and they said thousands, hundreds of tens of thousands gather for a march to stop COVID, and it was a hilarious kind of. And I sent it to McNeil, and I go, dude, you got to do this with the Cavs parade. He goes, I'm on it. He did it, and it went bonkers the next day. I mean, it went bonkers. And then it turned out a month or two later, you were seeing actual protests like this in California and Texas, all across the country, saying enough of the lockdown. But he put a joke out today. He said, who should the Cleveland Cavaliers select at number 5? Wrong answers only. And somebody responded with what I thought was the funniest damn thing I've seen in a long time. Somebody responded with, who should the Cavaliers select at number 5 today? Wrong answers only. They said, World be quarantined.
I saw that. I was dying.
God, that was funny. If you don't know who World Be Free was, the joke doesn't work. But if you know that name, God, is that a funny tweet? One of the funniest follows on Twitter. You got to follow reflog _18 on Twitter. But I was going to say this. So when I say number 1 pick NBA, who comes to mind? Number 1 overall pick.
Are we talking this year?
All time. All time. Number 1 overall pick.
LeBron or Jordan.
Which one?
Like I said, Brian, I get into this argument all the time with people, and I can't even make the argument about it. Jordan was the best of his era. It's a totally different era now. LeBron's the best of his era. I'm not also going to sit there and compare Oscar Robertson.
No. Hold on. No. I know they're different, but wait, when wasn't Sam Bowie taken above him? I mean, the number 1 pick.
Yep. Also, number 1 pick is LeBron James. Not even close.
Not even close. Who's runner up to LeBron at number 1 then?
Anthony Bennett.
When I say number 2 overall pick in the NBA draft, who's the most successful number 2 pick all time in the NBA draft?
It's certainly not Darko Milicic.
I knew we were coming back to him since he brought up the Carmelo stuff at Syracuse.
They just busted every single one. Carmelo wasn't the number 2 overall pick either.
Okay. All right. Let's walk through this. Number 1 overall pick in the NBA. You would say LeBron James. He was obviously the most successful number 1 pick. I mean, that's not obvious, but it kind of is. Who's the biggest bust of a number 1 pick of all time? Anthony Bennett?
It's got to be up there. Or, yeah, I would say so.
That's incredible.
It's got to be up there. I mean, but the thing is, there wasn't a very talented draft. Let's go back and assess this. I was talking about this earlier with someone at the first pick. There was no real difference between the first pick and the 12th pick in that draft. There really wasn't. Here's the thing: with the Cavaliers, if they taken Oladipo, wound up with number 1. Yeah, was he any good in Oklahoma City? No, he was awful. He was awful his first couple of years in the league. He really made his mark with the Indiana Pacers.
Right.
That's where Oladipo hit his stride. He was terrible with Orlando, terrible with Oklahoma City. But he wasn't terrible with Oklahoma City. He was very mediocre. And he became an all-star in Indiana when he had a chance to shine. You go through this, though, and dissect it. If anybody even says Giannis Antetokounmpo should have been the number 1 overall pick, there was literally no film on him.
None.
He didn't have any film.
I remember us talking about him, and you said, look.
I pronounced his name at the time, and I remember telling you on the phone, I said, Brian, there's this Greek kid I've never even heard of at the NBA Combine putting on ridiculous dunks. He's raw as can be as a prospect. His stealing, and I remember going there. I go nothing about this kid.
Yeah.
I remember I said because he played 6 minutes a night in a minor league Greek team. There was no film on him. It was all grainy footage. And I even said, I go, if you're going to take a risk, this is the pick where you take the risk. Because you're either going to get a fringe bench player, a fringe 8th or 9th man at the 14th, 15th, 16th overall pick in that draft, or you have the chance to go take a guy who has a chance to be a superstar and there's no film on him. Were the odds stacked against him? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wasn't playing top-notch talent.
When you're in the middle of the lottery and you're one of those teams that's not very good, when you're not very good and you're in the middle of the lottery, you're not drafting for an 8th or 9th guy off the bench. You're drafting to find the guy with the highest ceiling.
Yeah, you're
not as fat the highest ceiling.
You're essentially going for the home run. You're swinging for the fences. I might strike out, but I might hit a home run.
Well, nobody knew what his ceiling was. Nobody knew what his floor was. Either the guy was going to be a bust and you were never going to hear his name again, or he had a chance to become a good player. You know, I mean, we witnessed guys like Serge Ibaka, Luol Deng come out of, nowhere and become good players. Really good players.
Right.
But, they tried, especially with guys from Europe, a lot of it's a crapshoot. The African player and the European player, it's a real crapshoot when you're taking guys like that. I mean, don't forget, Rudy Gobert is arguably the 3rd best player in that draft, was taken like 29th overall by Utah, or 27th or 29th by Utah. He went in the late 20s. He's the 3rd best player in that draft. That's what I'm saying is, again, it's very hard to evaluate talent because the European game is so much different than the American game, than the American and Canadian basketball. It's so much different. Canadian, it's very easy to judge the talent because most of those kids are playing in the U.S., and Canada has good talent as well, very strong talent to begin with. They've had guys like R.J. Barrett. They've had, guys, Steve Nash, Tristan Thompson. There's a lot of talent to come out of Canada. There really is. It's just very hard to judge the European game because it's so much, it differentiates so much. So, again, when you're taking one of those guys, could you get the next Luka Doncic? Yes. But you could also get the next Ian Vesley.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're necessarily getting.
High risk, high reward.
And that was the point, is when the Pistons took Darko, they were wowed by his workout.
Yeah.
But instead, they could have taken the guy. Darko, did he have a higher ceiling than Carmelo? I guess. Darko had a ridiculously high ceiling. But why take the risk when you could have taken Carmelo Anthony or Chris Bosh or Dwayne Wade, who's going to contribute to your team instantly and would have left them as instant contenders? The Pistons would have never had to tear up that franchise. If they'd taken, let's just say they would have taken Carmelo, who's the consensus number 2 player in that draft, and they'd taken him number 2 overall like they should have, and let Darko fall a couple picks, that was the whole problem. You literally gave up Carmelo Anthony, who was a prolific scorer, and was exactly what the Pistons needed, because it's the one thing they lacked. If you would have played Carmelo in the team, odds are the Pistons probably would have won 3 more titles or 2 more titles.
So I'm pretty happy that they did that.
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows what would have happened, but it would have been, the whole league would have been monumentally changed around for years.
We need to go back and figure out which shows we haven't done a redraft on. I like when we do the redraft shows and kind of go through it and just redraft. I love the redraft shows. We've done several, but it's been a while to kind of.
They were fun. I love doing them.
I know they're one of your favorite segments. We got to go back and figure out which one to do next.
They really take a lot of time though to prep because
fair.
You go through and say how would this player fit with this team? How would they progress? If you put any of those guys in the Sacramento Kings, over the last 7-8 years, would they have been any good? Probably not. Their development was terrible with players. We've witnessed it with teams. There are certain teams that could not develop talent, no matter how high they drafted in the draft every year.
Yeah, I saw if the Knicks ruin their number 1 draft pick this year, I'm gonna never forgive them for this. That was a name that we were kind of looking at. The Dayton superstar end up going number 8, and it really does. It matters where you land. It matters what system you find yourself in.
Barrett walking into New York last year, would Barrett have had more success if he would have been in a team in a smaller market, not on the national stage every night, kind of like Zion Williamson did in New Orleans? Maybe, I don't know. That's the thing.
Maybe.
R.J. Barrett would have gone gone to the Toronto Raptors, would he have much higher success? Yeah. The Raptors know how to develop talent within their own franchise. The Raptors have been one of the best at developing talent, internal talent, or even signing lower-level free agents and turning them into strong talent. They've been doing that for years now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jerry's done a great job over there in Toronto. He did an unbelievable job in Denver as well. I mean, the guy's a superstar. Everything he touches turns to gold.
What do you think of Daryl Morey with his landing spot and the moves they're making?
I like Morey going to Philly. I think Houston made a mistake in him. I think he's one of the smartest general managers in the league. I really do. I think he's really one of the smartest guys in the league. Don't forget he's a Cleveland guy, too.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He's from Medina. He's a very bright guy. He reassembled that Houston roster. It's almost kind of like what Steve Kerr did in Phoenix. You know, they were very, very good. They were an excellent team, but couldn't get to the finals. So he made a move to get Russell Westbrook, knowing, okay, this is my chance to blow it up. And if these two can cohesively play together, then we've got our chance to be in the title, in the play for a championship. And if it doesn't work, we'll go and move those pieces around.
Well, I love watching that story, and I love, the whole China angle to it. I think there's so many rich storylines.
I don't even want to get into that because the whole situation pisses me off.
Yeah, me too. It's interesting, all the storylines. I'm rooting for Daryl Morey. I'm rooting for him. Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to talk over you there. I was just saying, yeah, I don't need to take us off roading for a while on that because we've already covered this, but like, I'm rooting for the guy. I'm really rooting for him. And there's something that can be said about active owners. I'm in a dynasty football league. I don't know, I'm in year 4 or something like that, and I don't make a lot of trades. I made a few. I don't make a lot, but man, there's a lot of activity, and it's like, I wonder what kind of general manager or owner I would make. Would I just sit tight like the Steelers every year, or would I just be wheeling and dealing nonstop? I don't know.
The Steelers have built arguably the most stable franchise.
They've had, 3 head coaches since the late 70s? Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Omar Epps? 3 coaches in like 4 decades, something like that? That's pretty steady. But hey, look, with the new Cleveland Browns, maybe we're headed there as well. But let's stay on track. Let's get to the players drafted tonight, if we can, Zach. Anthony Edwards, shooting guard out of Georgia, 6'3", 225. Let's talk about him. This was one of those where the betting markets were kind of like, will a ball be selected at number 1? Will Edwards go on?
Pick with Anthony Edwards. LaMelo Ball would have been an awful pick in Minnesota. Awful pick. Because you just got D'Angelo Russell, and D'Angelo's a ball-dominant guard. So is LaMelo. I don't think LaMelo does anything particularly well. I think he's a superior talent to anyone in this draft. I do.
Oh.
The thing is he coachable? Is he coachable is the question.
Okay, pause.
If I were Minnesota, I don't take the risk.
Pause there for a second. Pause there for 1 second, if we can. You said he has the most. How did you phrase that exactly? About the most talent in the draft?
I think he has the most talent in the draft. I think he is the best player in the draft. I don't think he is. I think he's the most talented player in the draft. He's not the best player in the draft. Anthony Edwards or James Wiseman was the most talented player in the draft.
Okay.
I mean, it's the best player in the draft. Those are the best players in the draft. He is the most talented player in the draft. He has the highest ceiling. The question is, will he reach it? No. I highly doubt that.
Because
I just don't think he's coachable. I watched him play when he was at Spire against Brush. I happened to be at the game against Brush. And I looked at it and I said, okay, this is a kid. He made some unbelievable wow plays. And then you just see him sitting there cherry picking on defense too. Just sits there and cherry picks sometimes. He doesn't seem like he cares. He seems like he's disinterested. And, he makes some boneheaded play. Some of the stuff is off the charts. You're like, wow, this kid's a superstar. And you look at him other times and it's like, this kid can't shoot. His shot selection is horrendous. Can he drive to the hoop? Yeah, but I don't know if he's coachable. We witnessed with his brother. Is he more talented than Lonzo Ball? Yes. He is much more talented than Lonzo Ball.
Wow.
But what is Lonzo Ball as an NBA player? He's a mediocre player. A poor man's Jason Kidd.
All right, that's one way to say it.
He's a poor man's Jason
I loved Jason Kidd. I loved his game back in the day. I loved Kidd.
Well, he's a poor man's Jason Kidd.
Right, exactly. So I'm trying to take the things I loved about JK and reducing it by 40% or 60%. Gone. I don't know if I like that player as much.
So that's my whole point with this. I'm not really sure if let me, my AirPod, one of them's dying, so I'm just gonna plug it in real quick.
All right.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we still got you.
Yeah, I just want to plug in one of my AirPods, just to get it some juice. So what I was gonna say though is I'm looking at it from all standpoints, and I go, Anthony Edwards is the best fit in Minnesota. He is. He's a 2-guard. He can score. He can play off the ball. That's what I like about him. I think he's a good fit with Townsend Russell. I think LaMelo takes all their touches away. I don't think he's a good fit. I don't think James Wiseman is a good fit there either because you already got Karl Anthony Towns. And what do we know about big men in today's game? They don't dominate the game like they did 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
They don't do that anymore. And it's unfortunate because James Wiseman, who got picked by the Warriors, he's got a ton of shooters in Golden State, which is really going to help him big time. I think he's a perfect fit for the Warriors. And if he isn't a perfect fit for the Warriors can go flip him and trade him. But the Warriors just had a massive injury today that a lot of people aren't talking about. Klay Thompson has a potentially season-ending injury today. Can
you tell us about that injury? They're saying lower leg, and their sources are saying it doesn't look good. But what are we talking about? Broken ankle? What does that mean?
I don't know. I have no clue. It said lower leg. I have no clue what that even means. I didn't see the extent of the injury, nor am I a doctor. What I can tell you though is the Warriors can't win without Klay Thompson. They need Klay Thompson to win. It's either you go and flip Draymond Green to trade, or you go and flip Andrew Wiggins when you can.
Wiggins, jeez. Yeah.
They need Klay Thompson. And I don't know if James Wiseman plays even a game in a Warriors uniform. I still think he might get traded. The Warriors championship window is now. It's now. Your window is now if you're the Warriors. Thompson is healthy, I go and move him. And I go and try to move Wiggins too if I can, but he's got a bloated contract and he's a total bust.
Wiggins was another number 1 overall pick that didn't really pan out that well. But okay, so you're saying they might trade Wiseman?
They might. I could see them trading Wiseman. Listen, as we've talked about in the air so many times, you have such a small window in the NBA to win it all. You do. The Cavaliers went all in. They traded all their draft picks. We got a championship out of it, which we would rather had what Oklahoma City has going. Okay, you take, they're always a playoff team. They never miss the playoffs, but will you ever hear about talking with them other than what a colossal mistake it was trading James Harden that was unbelievable. The Thunder only made 1 championship.
Right.
Or would you rather be the Cavaliers who made the 4 straight championships, traded all their young assets, and now we're rebuilding, but we still have those 4 years, which were incredible.
Well, yeah, sorry, I just scrolled across something. This is someone from a blue check mark talking about an Achilles with Klay. Now nothing's confirmed yet. Well, they're saying that's 2 years. You're out a year and a half.
Well, he's already missed a full year too as it is.
Oh,
so
good.
It can only be more devastating, and that's the point. That's awful. Especially in basketball, it's horrible.
Yeah. Well, but none of it's confirmed yet. I saw a blue check mark. Obviously, we can't trust anything in the media, especially social media. So my bad for falling for the blue check mark.
There's still a bunch of reliable reporters in NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball. There still are great reporters. I mean, when did Adam Schefter tweet out anything that's wrong?
Fair. I'll give you that.
He doesn't tweet anything that's incorrect. Very rarely do you ever see Adam Schefter slip up and make a mistake. Same with Wojnarowski. Again, politics aside, basketball-wise, Woj has never made a mistake.
And that's fair. That's fair.
You look at Jeff Passan in Major League Baseball. You look at some of those guys. They don't make mistakes. They are good at what they do. They are great reporters.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1 minute ago, Bleacher Report is saying the fear is that Klay Thompson has suffered a significant Achilles injury. What I just shared was 3 hours ago. This is 1 minute ago. So that's what they're thinking. Possible, potential.
So again, and getting to the LaMelo Ball pick at 3, Charlotte took him based on his potential. And if Jordan thinks that he can mentor him, and that's why they took him, because he has the highest ceiling in the draft. And if Jordan can turn him into something, then Charlotte finally got their superstar. It's a big if. All it takes is LeVar Ball to piss off one person like he did with the Lakers, and he's done.
We'll see. We're going to see how it all plays out. What kind of player does? Okay, let's move our way down to Ball at 3, but let's kind of go in order. Anthony Edwards. What kind of player are we projecting him as? If you could compare him to someone, who can we kind of think his game is somewhat similar to?
Brian, I'm going to be honest with you when you're making comparisons with any of these guys. Problem is, I have not seen enough game footage of any of these guys to make a true comparison to anyone. I'm going to be honest when I say that. There are other drafts, like when I witnessed Kyrie Irving in college. I only saw 11 games of Kyrie Irving, but what I saw, I knew I already said you're getting a better version of Kevin Johnson.
Right. Okay.
You're getting a guy who can drive to the hoop. You're getting a better, if he reaches his potential, will be a better version of Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson was an excellent point guard.
I loved Kevin Johnson. Loved him.
But Kyrie Irving and his ceiling with the Cavs was a better version of Kevin Johnson. Derek Williams, I compared to Danny Granger. If Derek Williams gone to another franchise, there's a good chance that he could have been that Granger type. But unfortunately, he didn't go to the right team. He was backing up that flop. And another problem, too, is with Derek Williams is when you see this, too. When a guy doesn't have a true position, it's very worrisome. And that was the problem with Derek Williams. He wasn't a power forward, wasn't a small forward. So where does he go in between? That was the problem. He wasn't a good ball handler. And we witnessed it in the NBA, and that was his downfall. Tristan Thompson, the Cavaliers took him at 4. We're expecting him to develop an offensive game. He's very raw. Defensively, without him, I don't think the Cavaliers would have won a championship. Don't forget how many offensive rebounds he pulled in the NBA Finals. He was fantastic defensively. And in the rebounding, he was unbelievable. He's blocking shots. He was able to guard the perimeter. He was able to shut down Steph and Klay Thompson.
Right.
So Tristan Thompson by no means was a bust. Yes, did we not get Kawhi Leonard or Klay Thompson because of it? Yes, but I can't say that Klay Thompson would have developed into the player he was, and maybe the Warriors would have taken Kawhi Leonard with that pick instead of Klay Thompson. We don't know what would have happened. Hypothetically, let's say the Spurs never get Kawhi Leonard, and LeBron stays and wins another championship there and never leaves Miami. We can play the hypothetical game all we want. But without Tristan Thompson, the Cavaliers were not winning a championship.
So he was number 4, right?
Yeah.
So back to our. Good.
My whole point with going backtracking with these guys, it's very hard to make comparisons. LaMelo Ball, I cannot compare to anyone. I mean, I've watched him play. I can't compare him to anyone because I haven't seen him play against elite talent, number 1. And number 2, I don't understand him as a player. Again, the ceiling is there, the talent is there. Is the drive there? Is the motivation there? I don't know. Is the ability to be coached there? I don't know. I'm being as honest as I can when I say that. I don't know what his ceiling is. I don't know what his floor is. I remember when Lonzo Ball came out, I said, yeah, he's a prolific passer who can't shoot the ball. That's exactly what he was, and I was right on that.
Let me ask you this question: When I say who's the best, the most successful number 2 overall pick in NBA history, who do you think of?
Off the top of my head.
Yeah, I know we didn't prep any of this. I know this is all.
I couldn't even tell you right now, Brian. I'm so unprepared for this. Like watching, I'm talking like going over the draft. If this is a norm show, basketball mode. Don't forget, I've been in football mode for the last 3 months. Let's talk
some.
I've been in total football mode for the last 3 months with the Browns being good, and I frankly didn't watch a ton of the NBA class because it was during football season.
Let's talk about the NFL. Let's talk about the NFL in a second. No, because I was just kind of wondering because today I was thinking who's the best number 5 overall draft pick in the NBA. In one name,
great number 5 overall pick. I think Kevin Love was the number 5 overall pick.
A name that came to mind for me wasn't Kevin Love. I thought of somebody else. So I was curious. Well, I was thinking of Dwayne Wade. Was he number 5?
I mean, yeah, Wade's up there Wade's better than Kevin Love.
Yeah, Kevin Love is still playing.
Cavaliers, Dwayne Wade.
Yeah,
Cleveland Cavaliers, Dwayne Wade.
that's such a weird thing to say. I hardly knew ye, Dwayne Wade.
If you put together a roster of NBA players at the end of their careers playing for a year in Cleveland, you'd have one hell of a team.
Oh man, Derrick Rose, Shaq. Woo.
Derrick Rose.
How many number 1 overall picks we had? Antoine Jameson, right?
He wasn't a number 1 overall pick. He was like 3 or 4s.
Why did I think he was number 1? Okay.
He was traded for Vince Carter, and neither one of them was the number 1 overall pick. But they were traded on draft day. Vince was drafted by Golden State. Jameson was drafted by the Raptors, and they swapped on draft day. But getting back to it, I mean, we had Joe Smith, who was the number 1 overall pick.
That's right. We had Joe Smith.
Ron James. But I'm just saying, though, if you take
That's what I was saying.
Stars who played 1 year in Cleveland, at one point we had Sean Marion.
Oh, yeah. We did. Mike Miller.
If I go through it, if I go through and take the 1-year wonder.
Oh, yeah.
Cleveland had former All-Stars who had extremely successful careers playing 1 year. Don't forget, the Cavaliers were this close to winding up with Wilt Chamberlain back in the day, in his final year of his career. And I don't know if you know the story about it, but Wilt Chamberlain, the Cavaliers, went to his house in Bel Air when the gate was closed, threw the contract over the gate. It was a windy, rainy night in L.A., and the papers blew everywhere. Wilt Chamberlain the next day said, F you to the Cavs, and didn't sign with the Cavs.
I've never heard this story.
Look it up. Chamberlain, Cleveland Cavaliers.
Book it. All right, let's go to pick number 2 then, since we're not sure who the number 1, number 2 overall pick in the NBA history is. James Wiseman, center from Memphis. What is adding a talented young center going to do for that team? And let's just say right now, we have to assume that it's going, for the sake of argument, and we don't know. And I hate the Warriors. I really dislike the Warriors, but I'm not going to wish injury on anybody, so I'm not going to be that guy. But let's just.
By the way, I just texted you the story about Wilt Chamberlain.
Thank you. I will check that out.
I texted you the story.
Thank you. What is James Wiseman going to do for the Warriors now? Let's prepare that.
The guy who can get under the basket. He's a guy who, if you put him back 10, 15 years ago, guaranteed 20 years ago, 25 years ago, guaranteed would have been the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Guaranteed. But again, now we look at it, he's still one of those classic centers. He's going to block shots, get a ton of rebounds, and he's going to score underneath the basket. I think he's a very good fit with the Warriors. The Warriors already, I mean, if Klay Thompson is healthy, and that team is healthy, they already have all the outside shooting they need. They don't need another outside shooter. They don't need Steph Curry to drive into the paint. James Wiseman can handle the dirty work. And frankly, do I think James Wiseman plays in a Warriors uniform? If Thompson is able to come back healthy, I don't see James Wiseman being on that roster. I see the Warriors going and flipping him and making a trade and going and landing another superstar.
Now let me ask you.
Window is still open.
Let me ask you this, because you've told me before, and I've remembered this. We've talked many shows. You got to check our archives out. But you have said that it's almost like a new car. You take it off the lot, it loses 20% value instantly, something like that.
Yep.
That a number 2 overall draft pick is worth way more without a name on it than when you put a name to it. You know, it's almost like they said, if you're just in this last election, they said, it's President Trump or an unnamed Democratic challenger. The unnamed Democratic challenger always polls super high until you narrow it down to a name and you go, okay, well, now it's that specific person.
I would vote for Bernie Sanders in a billion years. Could I vote for another Democrat? Yes, under the right circumstances, but I'm not going to vote. I personally can't stand Bernie Sanders. I would never vote for Bernie under any circumstance.
Yeah. The unnamed Democratic challenger is like the unnamed number 2 overall draft pick that just has this ring of, wow, I could hit a home run and find a once in a generation talent. Yeah, you could, or you could strike out or hit middle of the road, somewhere in between. So, let's just like I said, for the sake of argument, let's say that Klay Thompson does not come back, because if he did blow out his ACL,
Golden State need to reevaluate. Are we going to go? And if I'm Golden State, am I sitting there going, okay, are we going to flip Andrew Wiggins and James Wiseman over to Houston for James Harden? I look at that deal. I look and I go, okay, are we going to go and try to flip James Wiseman and Andrew Wiggins to Washington for Bradley Beal? to replace Klay Thompson? You know, there are a lot of things on the table with that pick. If you're the Warriors, you feel your window's closed. Do you think you can beat LeBron and the Lakers? Do you think you can beat Luka and Kristaps Porzingis in Dallas? Do you think you can beat Phoenix with Chris Paul and Devin Booker now? Do you think you can beat Denver, who's an up-and-coming team, too? Do you think you could beat a team like Utah? I mean, the West is so good as it is.
I don't see them winning against any of them. I honestly don't.
You know, if they had Kevin Durant still, different story, but they don't.
Fine, if they had Kevin Durant. But that's not the team we're talking about. Draymond Green is not a special player. Draymond Green is an average player. He's got his hustle. He's got his hype moments. Coolio.
But he was a perfect fit. He was a perfect fit for
I know, but not anymore without Klay Thompson.
If you put him on a team like the Pistons, he would have done nothing.
Yeah, he'd have been the bad boy that wasn't bad enough.
Here's the thing. If you put him on Cleveland, he would have been dominant with LeBron.
Oh.
He would have been Houston with James Harden. Would have been dominant. There are certain times it's like I think
dirty work players.
No value on this. Tristan Thompson has no value on this Cavaliers team. Yet you put him on the Raptors, you put him on the Celtics, you put him on the Heat, you put him on the Lakers, you put him on any one of those great Western Conference teams that has a dominant point guard or a dominant ball handler that can get him the ball underneath. Tristan Thompson is an extremely valuable player. We witnessed that in Cleveland the first time around.
Yeah.
Now it's just okay. You know, goes through the motions. This isn't the team that he should be on. You know, I would love to see Tristan stay in the Cavaliers uniform. I'm not expecting him to. I hope he does because, you know, he's one of the few pieces left from that 16 team. But at the same time, he's one of those guys who would just excel somewhere with a good team. He always does.
Do you think Andre
cleans up all the dirty work?
Do you think Andre Drummond, who has recently picked up his player option, do you think Andre Drummond's going to be on the move?
I think the Cavaliers would like to put him on the move, but I don't know if they can. I don't know what team's going to take on a bloated contract.
But it's expiring. That's the thing. That's where you can win.
Expiring deal, but the thing is, can a contender? Yeah, but in order for the Cavaliers, they're going to have to take back salary on a bloated contract instead. And is it worth doing it for the number 14 overall pick from the Celtics or the 20th overall pick from the Celtics to do that? And once again, strike out in free agency because you don't have the cap room? I mean, the Cavaliers are risking it all this year, trading for Drummond, not being able to sign a star like Brandon Ingram to a max contract, offer. Even though he's a restricted free agent, it's still worth trying to sign the guy. Kind of like they did with Gordon Hayward not 6 years ago. If they would have gotten LeBron, they would have signed Hayward, but again, his contract would have been matched by Utah. And then they would have gone after Chandler Parsons. Thank God LeBron came back when he did. Otherwise, we would have had Chandler freaking Parsons here.
We would have been locked into the quagmire of the early, 2010s Atlanta Hawks, consistently.
We would have been worse. Chandler Parsons is awful.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Well, look, there's a lot of room to navigate the roster. I was just curious because Drummond did just pick up his player option, and I went, man, that's $30 million in expiring contract. Somebody wants to unload.
If you look at Andre Drummond, though, Andre Drummond is one of those guys who would have been dominant in the 1980s.
Yeah.
In the 1980s, even 90s.
Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning.
His game, these guys who can't shoot on the perimeter.
Hakeem.
Again, everything is based on, success in the NBA is based on your top scorer's usage rate. And that means how many times they touch the ball, whether your possession ends in a turnover or a score. Like Russell Westbrook has the NBA's highest usage rate every year. But when your guy is able to score 30-something points a game, or someone like LeBron who has a ridiculously high usage rate, because it's bending almost all his plays are in points or an assist.
Right.
He's responsible for 50 points a game on average. LeBron is responsible for ultimately close to 50 points a game. Between his usage rate, it equates to about 50 points a game. So if you take that, a guy like Andre Drummond who can put up 20 points a game, but has a usage rate down to 12% rather than 28 or 32%, is a problem, and that's not going to translate to win. That's why, as good as Karl Anthony Towns is, he's not a point guard. He doesn't touch the ball enough. One of the differences between Jokic and Denver is he touches the ball a ton. He has a ridiculously high usage rate for a center. And that's the difference. That's why he's so successful and why Denver's so successful with him.
Right.
Because he's such an elite passer. He's a better version of Arvydas Sabonis, is what he is. And Sabonis was an excellent player in the 90s.
Yeah.
Sabonis would have been the modern-day center. Sabonis would have been perfect for today's NBA. He was ahead of his time. It's the same thing, too. There are certain centers, if you would have taken them, groomed them for today's game, like Hakeem and David Robinson, would have been superstars in today's game. Because both of them could shoot outside and they were both extremely athletic.
They really were. They were the ones that kind of ushered it in, right? They kind of led that transition, if you will. I do want to address a comment that's coming in here on the chat on the YouTube channel. Dion Crosby is asking, do you think the Cavs will get more players? Well, I'm getting a report here that says, hang on, let me find it. All right, this is Chris Fedor. Even though Cavs don't currently have Fedor. Kiss Fedor. Even though the Cavs don't currently have a second-round pick, they are not done for the night. They're trying to acquire another first or second rounder, sources are telling Cleveland.com. So Dion Crosby, that's what I'm hearing. I don't know. We will find out. And then Malcolm is saying, now wait a minute. Let's talk about Kevin Porter. Didn't that boy just get arrested?
He did just get arrested. I don't exactly know the circumstances and know the details yet. We're still, still up in the air of exactly what.
Let me tell you what's not up in the air. The person who has top 10 talent slides to the end of the first round barely,
for a reason,
gets arrested. And there's your reason. There's your reason. It's a kid with all the potential in the world who's going to do dumb crap and upset. I just, for all the things LeBron James is and is not, at least he's not a person who's getting in trouble with the law, doing really stupid stuff. There's accusations, there's misunderstandings, there's bad days, there's moments. And then there's people that go through the criminal court process. They lose because they're just really not good people.
Well, I was going to say, you can disagree with LeBron's politics all you want, but what he's done for the community of Akron is unbelievable. It is.
He's made that place a better place. He's made it a better place and put it back on the map.
He literally sent hundreds, if not thousands of kids to college.
Well, he and Nike did some stuff, and then I think he gets a lot of credit for the school. I think it gets a lot of credit for the school that really does actually belong other places. Obviously, he's done great stuff. The amount of praise he gets to the work. No. He gets credit for that, hands down. But if there's 100% of the pie chart of credit, he's not getting 70% for it. He's getting a nice chunk, but I think he gets a lot of credit. Anyway, the point is he's been a good person in the community. He's been a good role model. Whatever the Rihanna rumors were, or the Atlanta Reporter rumors were, I mainly fault LeBron for his bad tipping. I know he's an awful tipper because I have too many sources that have personally waited on him and his crew and been treated like dirt. That stuff aside, he's been a good person in the community. I've had a love-hate thing with LeBron. I just try to be fair with him. I've liked parts, I've hated parts. Just it is what it is. But yeah, Porter getting arrested, that's not good. Dion is saying some sources are saying that he hit some woman. Well, like I said, there's a lot of accusations that will play out in the beginning and don't end up panning out, and no charges are ended up filed in the long run. So, I'm always careful to try to crucify somebody based on some report or so-and-so was picked up on charges of, but no charges were filed and this and that. So, but anyway, once again, you get that USC talent in Porter, an awesome player, but maybe his head's not screwed on tight. Maybe he runs with a bad crowd. Maybe he has poor decision-making skills. I don't know exactly, but these are the wild cards every time you do a draft. You're not just drafting talent, you're drafting headspace, you're drafting heart. So you got motor and hustle, you have heart, you have talent, you have desire, you have athleticism, you have raw physical tools. There's so many different things that you could pump into some analytical chart and give you 7.375. Well, okay, that's a number, but what does that really mean? Sometimes you just have to roll the dice and throw a dart. Use the eye test and say, it looks like that person has what it takes. I remember watching Khalil Mack playing for, what was it, Buffalo? I watched him play the Buckeyes, I believe, that year.
Oh, when he crushed Ohio
Oh,
State.
good God. I knew he was going to be a superstar in the NFL. I couldn't believe he was playing for Buffalo. If you can do that against Ohio State, you're in.
Because again, he was so underrated coming out of high school. He was small. He had no bigger offers coming out of high school because he was relatively unknown. Some of those Mac kids shine. I mean, look at Max Crosby for the Raiders. You look at some of these Mac kids. They just weren't big-time prospects in high school. They didn't have the film on them. A lot of them were smaller in high school and grew into their bodies in college.
Yeah, and you see, I was looking at like previous draft picks. Good Lord, even looking at Giannis from a couple years ago, he doesn't look like Giannis from today. He looks like a little baby version of Giannis. Holy crap, they've been putting that kid through the workout machines. Now he looks like a Greek god. Before he looked like, the skinny little kid. Polio, anorexia, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Those are.
He looked like a stick figure when he came in.
He does.
He couldn't even bench press one rep at 220.
Well, Kevin Durant still looks like that, but whatever. I don't like that snake.
He put on a lot.
Fine. All right.
Nearly as scrawny as he was when he came into the league.
All right. Okay. So anyway, back to number 2. You said James Wiseman may or may not be traded. Obviously, the huge news coming out of the Golden State right now with Klay Thompson. That's going to play a big role whether he stays or whether he's traded in the Steph Curry window. Steph Curry still is in his prime. At some point, does he want to go for assets that can help rebuild the team? Who knows? We'll see how it goes. James Wiseman, center from Memphis, going there at number 2. We talked about LaMelo Ball. Now he's with Michael Jordan. And just, you want to wrap that up for us? Because I know we already kind of talked about LaMelo.
I mean, LaMelo Ball is one of those guys where I'm going to sit there and question it. He has a top-tier talent. But the question is the motivation there, the drive there, and is he coachable? I think those are all huge question marks, and that's why he's put to 3. And also, he's never played against elite talent.
And that makes a difference. He chose to go that path. He chose to go play no talent. It didn't hurt Giannis. I mean, it maybe hurt his draft status. Didn't hurt his career. So I guess, we're going to find out in time what kind of player it is based on the career that he has, obviously. But Michael Jordan, hey, he wanted him for some reason. Let's see what he can turn him into, That's a point guard right there. I think Jordan.
John Bogdanovich's deal is off with Milwaukee, by the way, that just came in.
What were they gonna do again? That was like a 4-person trade.
Yeah,
what were?
It's off. He said he'd rather enter a restricted free agency.
Oh, I did see that. Now, what's the benefit there? He'd rather be restricted free agent instead of being part of a.
He'd rather go play somewhere else than play in Milwaukee, and he probably may want to sign for more money somewhere else.
Hey, money makes the world go round, man. All right, let's go to Patrick Williams out of Florida State. Number 4 pick.
Surprised me, to be honest. Pick surprised me.
So what surprised you about it?
I just was not expecting him to go so high. I didn't say anything wrong. It was just
okay.
Kind of a surprise. I thought he'd go more in the 7, 8, to 9 to 10 range than he would in 4. It's like the same thing. I didn't watch a ton of film on him during the year, so I'm not entirely familiar with him. I did watch him a little bit, but again, it's not someone I projected to go as high as he did. He's not even the best small forward in the class. That's the thing.
Interesting.
I predicted him to go as I didn't think he'd be anywhere higher than 7 or 8. Yeah,
they had him at the overall rank. I'm sorry, I was just saying they had him at the overall rank at 9 over here. And you said he's not even the.
Isaac Okoro's a higher rate prospect.
Okay, well, good. Then let's bounce to number 5. This is where, we buried the lead. This is what I want to talk about the whole time.
Very, very raw prospect offensively. Again, almost reminds you of that Tristan Thompson feel, where he is super raw offensively. But defensively, he is by far the best defensive player in this draft. He's a great one-on-one defender. And when synergy is what a lot of the NBA scouts use. It's a model they use. Synergy projects him to have very, very high success at the next level. He's an amazing defender, and the Cavaliers are not trying to go with the shooter here. They already have guys who can shoot. They have Kevin Love. They have Colin Sexton who can shoot. They have Darius Garland who can shoot. The Cavaliers are going to be looking at this. How can we run the pick and roll? Or not the pick and roll, I'm sorry. How how can we run fast breaks, and we're going to run the floor.
And so you're kind of looking at him as a fit pick, kind of.
Don't forget, this is a fit pick too. Chetty is the worst defensive player in the NBA last year. Was the worst.
Oh.
Over the last years, was the worst defensive player in the NBA.
Goodness.
Yes. I don't think people realize how horrible he was, and offensively he was terrible too.
I didn't realize that.
The Cavaliers were horrible with him on the defensive end, which only made Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, who already have an undersized backcourt as it is, that's going to flutter defensively. You need to do something. The Cavaliers did that. He obviously Darius can score the ball at will, and so can Colin. Don't forget, Darius Garland barely played, in college. He only played in a couple games. He's got a lot of talent. If they can squeeze all the talent out of their backcourt and Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, and they get an athletic wing, then this is a great pick.
If they put it together that way.
Is Okoro going to take a while to develop into a good offensive player? Yes. It's not going to happen right away. But defensively, he is very elite.
And so mainly we're not asking him to be an offensive player. We're not asking that. We got plenty of guys that can shoot the rock.
You've got four guys offensively that can score the basketball.
You've
got Drummond, who's perfectly capable. Drummond, Sexton, and Love are all capable of putting up 20-plus points a game.
And so what we need is someone who can play NBA wing and at least do it defensively. They can at least lock down some of that.
Will also improve, though. It will also improve the defensive play of Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, too. Yes, you can't underestimate how important this is. Chetty makes everyone around him worse. He does. He's an intense guy off the bench. He's not a starting small forward. Don't forget, this is the first time the Cavaliers, not the first time for 4 years, Cavaliers neglected the small forward position until they traded for Luol Deng. And they did an emergency situation going, if we don't sign LeBron, we have Luol Deng.
Right.
Okay?
I remember that.
They didn't have a small forward for 3.5 seasons.
Right.
LeBron has been gone for 2 years now. No small forward other than Chetty. And he's terrible.
Right.
So the Cavaliers finally filled that piece, and I think finally closed the gap on LeBron, saying, okay, we're not expecting him back this time, and if we do get him back, it's going to be at the tail end of his career.
I think we're going to get him back. I think LeBron's going to play till he's 50. I think the Cavs are going to draft his boy. I mean, that...
Everything has to fall in place properly. I don't know if that's going to happen.
But I think that's what's going to happen. I definitely see LeBron coming back. You think he stays in Los Angeles, or does he go jump and build another super team somewhere?
I mean, I think LeBron, I don't think he likes being, I think he gets complacent, and I think he gets bored.
Yeah.
We went to see in Cleveland the first time. He just said, I can't do this. I can't win here. Goes to Miami and just said, I'm bored here. I've been in the championship 4 straight years. I've won twice. I'm bored. I think with Cleveland, genuinely, the second time, he goes, we traded Kyrie Irving. We're not going to be able to win here again. I'm getting bored. I need a new challenge. I think LeBron always likes a new challenge. And frankly, I think he just checked off his list with LA winning a title. I do. Do I think the Lakers will win again? Let's see what happens in free agency. As of today, they're the favorites in the Western Conference. And they're the favorites in the Eastern Conference, too. They're favorites in the NBA.
And you know that they can keep adding players,
I mean, but here's the one thing you have to think. LeBron preserves his body very well.
He does?
The Lakers have an incredibly short offseason that could come into play.
Yeah.
They just won the championship last month.
They're getting ready to start in a couple of weeks. When do they start?
Exactly, December 22nd, the season starts.
Yeah. And they have to.
You have to ask yourself, it's only a 72-game season. So we already know no matter what, the Lakers are going to play. They've got AD and LeBron. And I have a feeling they're going to be resting those guys a lot this season. They're going to have to keep them fresh for the playoffs. I don't think people realize how draining the playoffs. LeBron's played an extra, 3 or 4 full seasons because of all the amount of playoff games he's played in his career.
He's almost never missed the playoffs. He's almost never gone deep into the playoffs. He's almost never. How many times has he gone to the finals?
He's been there. He was there 07, and then he was there 4 times at the Heat, 4 times at the Cavs. 10 finals appearances and 4 championships.
10 finals, 4 championships. How many years? He was drafted what year?
2003.
17 years, 10 finals, 4 championships. That's
And he very well could end his career with 14 or 15 finals and 6 or 7 championships. Would you rather be Jordan, be 6 for 6, or be LeBron and make it there 15 times? I'd much rather make it there 15 times, even though you lose. I mean, people seem to forget their losing. Joe Montana never lost the Super Bowl. Okay, well, Tom Brady made it to more Super Bowls than Joe Montana. Means he won more conference championship games than Joe Montana.
yeah.
You know, it's the same thing. LeBron won more conference championships. LeBron also had to go against some of the toughest teams in NBA history in the finals.
I like that.
He had in 07, the Cavs had no business being in the finals. I mean, it was the worst roster ever assembled to go to a finals other than LeBron. Like, I don't know if that team would won 10 games without LeBron.
Ira Newble.
So,
Ira Newble.
Eric Snow, Sasha Pavlovich. I mean, well, that list goes on. Drew Gooden.
Boobie Gibson.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Then you look at LeBron's 4 teams in Miami. Those were great teams. He won 2 titles, though, and he beat the Thunder, and he beat the Spurs. The Spurs were an excellent team. You know, and in Cleveland, I mean, they face the Warriors every year. I mean, don't forget, this is a guy who took on a 73-win team in the finals, beat them. They went and cried like little bitches. Excuse my language, but I don't care. They went and cried like little bitches because they realized the Cavaliers had figured them out. Kind of like what LeBron did with the Pistons. When the Cavs beat the Pistons go, we can't beat Cleveland anymore. We got to do something to change this up. So they traded for Allen Iverson. Remember that?
Yeah. That didn't work.
So they couldn't beat the Cleveland Cavaliers anymore. LeBron got the best of them. LeBron got the best of the Warriors. What they had to do. And Kevin Durant couldn't win on his own. So what Kevin Durant had to do. They had to go get the second best player in the world, a 73-win freaking basketball team with the greatest record of all time. Had to go and get Kevin Durant.
Right.
Go and just beat LeBron. So if you can't beat him, join him. And they had to assemble. That's how pathetic Kevin Durant was. I just want to put that out there. That's how pathetic Kevin Durant was. Going, I can't beat the Warriors. The Warriors can't beat the Cavs now. Let's join forces and beat LeBron.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. I don't like KD.
I'll tell you this, too. The 17 Cavs were significantly better than the 16 Cavs.
And they still couldn't get it done because they added Durant.
Yeah. And the Cavs lost in 5.
Yeah, that's...
That 17 Cavs team was just dominant. I don't think people realize how good that team really was.
No, I think you're right. What made him so much better in your opinion?
They played as a cohesive unit. They played like they'd been together for a while. Kyrie, LeBron, and Love finally fit in. They were meshing well. Just think about that team. Don't forget Kyrie Irving missed the whole first couple months of the season. They didn't even miss a beat without Mo Williams playing so well.
Oh, that's right. Mo Williams. Mo Better Williams.
You got to forget, Mo was playing at an all-star level before Kyrie Irving came back.
That's true. That's true. Yeah,
That's how the Cavaliers were a well-oiled machine. They would have beaten the crap out of any of Jordan's Bulls teams. Mark my words on that.
That's some strong words right there. I love it. Let it happen. What year? 2017 Cavaliers would have whooped any would have whooped any of Jordan's teams.
That team just had the it factor. It was just the fact that Kevin Durant went to Golden State. And at that point, you took a 73-win team, and you added Kevin Durant to the roster and JaVale McGee.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, McGee was a bit of a throwaway, I suppose, but, a significant player nonetheless. But yeah, Kevin Durant obviously being the number one component of that. Okay, so that's our question of the day. Do you think the 2017 Cavaliers would have beaten any of Michael Jordan's teams? Type it in the comments below.
I do.
That's your question.
I think so.
All right. I like it. That's a good question of the day. I want to pose that to people. So anyway,
I don't think people realize how good that team really was.
I was surprised we got blown out the way that we did. And, I went to Barney's Beanery, and my good buddy that I used to bartend with.
Barney's Beanery, did you go to West Hollywood or Santa Monica?
The good one.
Which one was the good one? Santa Monica?
No, but West Hollywood. Yeah, that was
Okay.
that was my old stomping grounds.
I like West Hollywood. The Santa Monica one was too touristy.
You know what? I actually played Papa Shot since we're playing basketball. You remember that dude that was on Jimmy Kimmel, the Papa Shot champion? He played LeBron. I played him. I did a video. We did a video. I challenged him. I bought him his game, and wow, it wasn't even remotely close. He whooped me. What was that dude's name? I gotta remember his name.
I have no clue what the Papa Shot champion was. I do remember it.
I remember his smiling face. He works there. He works in the kitchen. And he came out. I'm like, wait a minute! I just saw you on Jimmy Kimmel. You want to play? He's like, oh.
My favorite thing ever about Jimmy Kimmel was during the NBA Finals live with this dude. When he used to do that, he's going around. This is he goes, what do you think about the Spurs' new point guard, Mushu Port? I just remember playing the rectangle offense.
Mushu Port, the rectangle offense. I love it. Oh, that's good.
Around to Miami, take fans in both cities, and pick the most oblivious fans. Like, oh yeah, the Lakers are in the finals. Go Hollywood Boulevard.
It's not Jimmy. It's not Jimmy Kimmel, but it's Adam Carolla. I've been listening to his podcast this year a lot more. I really enjoy it. I liked him on K-Rock. I liked listening to his show. But Adam Carolla obviously worked with Jimmy Kimmel on the Man Show, and they had a sports correspondent. I forget the guy's name off the top of my head. Was it Cousin Sal or was it someone else? And he has this montage where he goes to the Super Bowl and he asks all these star players, "Is this game do or die? Is this a do or die game?" It's like it's the last game of the season. It's obviously the do. And it was just funny watching the different answers and Tom Brady passing it back to him. No, but look, I love the sports landscape for all the things that happened, for all the things that didn't happen, all the storylines of what if this, do you remember when that? Because it's gladiators. This is the ultimate battle. And when you assemble these teams, I mean, you're really playing like a role-playing game, like a LARPing game, like you're playing Final Fantasy or Halo online, or what's the one I like? Fortnite. Doing that one. It's like you can assemble a team, but do they play well together? Do they gel? Are they cohesive? Do they have chemistry, camaraderie? Do they have the instincts? And there is something to be said about playing in a system for so many years where once you've played in a same system, then you really get to go on autopilot. You're not thinking, you're just reacting. And when you're just reacting, you are playing some excellent top-notch level athletics. And that's the stuff I like. So I guess then let's boil this down on Isaac and bounce through the rest of some of these picks here on day one of the 2020 NBA draft. I'm here talking with Zach. Isaac Okoro, we're getting what? We're getting an NBA wing who has good defensive skills.
Super offensively, very polished defensively. One of those kids, he's 19, he's a true freshman that can come. Don't forget, with Obi Toppin, the problem was, and I see why the Cavaliers, why do they need another power forward? Why do they need another big man? You have, especially that means it's the end for Tristan Thompson. And if you draft him, that means there's no chance they're resigning Tristan. You already have Kevin Love. You already have a log jam position as it is. And yes, is Toppin the most ready NBA player? Is there a good chance he wins Rookie of the Year? Yeah, very good chance. However, he's 22 years old. He has a much lower ceiling. And when you're a bad team, you're drafting for high ceiling. You're not drafting for lower ceiling for a complimentary role player. And I'm not saying he's a complimentary role player. He should be a very good starter in this league. But does he have a ridiculously high ceiling? No. He has a 3-year head start on a guy the Cavaliers just drafted.
And that means he's going to get older and injured quicker, 3 years quicker. And you're
Terry Jr. just got drafted. I believe his dad was Vernon Carey of the Miami Hurricanes.
Wow.
I'm not mistaken. Vernon Carey. Yep. Vernon Carey. Yep. 04-11. Vernon Carey was on the team that played against the Buckeyes in the national championship. He's a starting guard.
Tyrell Terry? Oh no, Vernon Carey. Oh, God.
I just saw Bernie Terry Jr. I remember him from Duke. And I was his dad played on his dad was on the Miami Hurricane. First round pick.
That'll age you pretty quick. Oh, geez. I remember celebrating that Buckeyes win. That was a great one. That was like the first.
I remember that game like it was yesterday.
That was the first championship of my lifetime. The first one I could actually celebrate. All right, so Isaac, we know we're getting a player that has a lot of room to grow offensively. Great defense, good size. Okay, and we'll just see how he fits in with all the other scorers on the team. There's talent on this Cavs team. Honestly, I don't see how we're the fifth worst team in the league. Maybe I'll see it, but I feel like we have a lot of talent.
I mean, they have talent, but they're young and they're raw.
How many years does it take to get the young raw talent into something that's consistent? And you also have Drummond and Love, but there's Drummond and Love. They know how to win. They know consistency and can help keep that and keep the young guys in check in theory, right?
They can in theory, but the question is can you do it? The thing is, a lot of times it's very hard to develop young talent if you don't have the veteran presence.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, but I think Love provides that. That's what I'm saying. Like, Love is a championship winner, 4 straight titles, 4 straight championship rounds, whatever. All right, but we'll see how it plays out. Look, we can circle back on this. The NBA season is going to start real soon. I want to pay more attention than I did last year. That sounds pretty great to me. So I look forward to seeing Isaac Okoro playing with the Cavaliers. What do you make of pick number 6? How do I even pronounce his name on the Hawks?
Let me see real quickly.
Onyeka Okongwu.
Hold on. Let me see.
This is where I would play the Jeopardy music in honor of Alex Trebek.
I just wasn't near my computer. I just want to make sure I've got the right player.
Yes, Onyeka Okongwu, USC center.
Oh, I actually really like him. I think he's got a ton of talent. He's a good fit with the Hawks. He's the guy if the Cavaliers needed a center, I would have seen them take him. He's a strong talent. He's a good fit with Trae Young there. I do like the Hawks young core. Again, did the Hawks make the most colossal mistake ever trading Luka Doncic for Trae Young? That's still always going to be the question.
Luka's pretty damn good. Not that Trae Young's a bad player, but you're always going to compare him. Sam Bowie to Michael Jordan.
Yep.
You're always gonna have that there. All right, so you like this kid. Still some Southern California roots for you. I know you've been gone for a little bit, but still following what's going on over there. What about this Frenchman that the Pistons picked up? Killian Hayes, point guard.
Again, I don't know a lot about him. It seems like a typical Pistons pick. Again, like I said, I did not follow any EuroLeague basketball this year. 0 to the T, and I mean that. Like I said, this is a weird year for the draft just because there's such little film on these guys. There's no real NBA combine. It was all virtual. You didn't even see the results.
Right.
You didn't get to see anything in person. You didn't get to see anything on TV. So you don't know players' measurables necessarily. It's very, very hard to determine how a guy's talented. I think this is going to be one of those drafts you're going to see a guy go 24 and you're like, how did this guy slip? Or he went 28. How did this guy slip? This far and not go because there's such little film. There's such little movement. You're going on preseason rankings here. You didn't get to see a lot of these guys, and that was the problem. Brian, I hate to do this, but my phone is about to die, and it's also getting late. I'm down to do another show around this weekend if you want.
I'm totally down because look, you and I are wrapped up in the Cleveland Browns. We didn't even have a chance to talk about it. Let's circle back.
So I'm down to do another show tomorrow afternoon if you want, or potentially Friday afternoon. So just let me know what works for you, and let's figure out a time that works.
Can you give me a thought on Obi real quick before we bounce? Because he's the Dayton guy. He's the local guy. He's the Ohio guy. A lot of people were hoping the Cavs would take him.
He's a stud. Again, the Cavaliers would have had a long gym at power forward. Don't forget the playing time would have been there. You have to move Walls at that point. You have to not re-sign Tristan. And then again, it still doesn't answer. It doesn't fit the wing. The Cavaliers still don't have a wing. And again, Tobin is really, again, he's 22 years old compared to a guy in the Cavaliers took at 19.
Exactly.
So the age difference is significant. Don't forget LeBron. Look where LeBron was from his second year in the league to where LeBron was in his fourth year in the league. Or fifth year in the league. You know, his fourth year. At 22, he was in a championship. At 19, they missed the playoffs in the second season.
Right.
Think about that for a second. I'm not comparing either one of them to LeBron James. I'm just saying, see the comparison, the age difference. If LeBron would have played 4 years in college, he probably would have had 4 national titles, would have come right to the league and would have been a superstar right away.
So
I'm talking averaging, being as good as he was in year 4.
So you're saying you're saying NBA players have immense growth in their first 5 years in the league. They just improve massively.
Again, let's witness it. I mean, let's go through and take a look. Certain players who developed in year 3 or 4. I mean, look at Oladipo. He was terrible his first 3-4 years in the league, and then he goes to Indiana for his next season. He's a stud. You've got to get some years and get some playing time under these guys' belt before they become stars. Steph Curry wasn't a star in his first 2-3 years in the league.
No.
He was a playoff team.
Right.
That's my point. Klay Thompson. It takes a long time to develop talent in the NBA. And again, when you're drafting someone that's 22, you're not drafting for ceiling at that point. You're not. You're drafting because he has a high floor, which means no matter what, he'll probably be a pretty damn good NBA player. He'll be a decent NBA player. But again, at the same time, would you rather take the guy with the higher potential at 19 when you're a crappy team? For especially a position that you need and a player that you like. And you've got to fix the perimeter. Your perimeter defense is horrendous. Again, like I said, how bad Chetty Osman was. It was just, if the Cavaliers needed a power forward, I think they may have selected Tobin, but they didn't, and I'm okay with the pick of Isaac Okoro.
Well, look, there's obviously a plan in place. They're enacting it. If we have a wing that can defend now and he's replacing the worst defender in the league, that can't do anything but make us better, I would think. Like you said, Jetty was making us worse. This guy should make us all better. I like that. That should give the young guys more room to improve. Whether Porter's a part of the new and improved team or not, we'll find out how that plays out. But yeah, look, let's do this again. Let's circle back. Obviously, tonight has gone well. Is there any final question? Other than Obi, is there anyone else on here that you did happen to catch a little bit of, or years you've
Yeah, there were obviously some other players in this draft. I can get into it. Like I said, my phone's running on 4% right now, and this thing's about to die.
Fair. Let's pause. Let's pause right here.
I'm happy to catch up tomorrow. And again, once some of these trades go through and some trades happen, I think we'll have a better understanding of where everything's going.
Absolutely. Malcolm Prophet is saying Cavs need defense, and only Anthony Davis reminds me of them too. Giannis is a defensive player and MVP like LeBron, which is a generational player. So yes, I'll address some of these comments now that I'm wrapping up with Zach. Zach, I appreciate you for joining me tonight. Let's circle back. Shoot me a text. Let me know when is a good time. Tomorrow, next day, next couple days, whenever it works. Let's circle back. Let's talk, because this Cleveland Browns team is really exciting at 6-3, by the way. And heck yeah, we'll do a complete Browns only. We'll do an episode of. Have you ever done an episode of Strictly Browns with me? We usually do the unhappy hour when we talk basketball.
I think I've done Strictly Browns with you. I've done some other stuff. I know we've done exclusively, talk Browns, but Buckeyes, but no, I'm more than happy to.
Yeah, we'll do an episode of Strictly Browns coming up here. It's a fascinating season for all of the health reasons, for all of the hype reasons, and then OBJ getting injured, but we're still getting through. And then Chubb is injured, but then he comes back. And you know what? Look, we're consistently competitive. And what more could you ask for in a football town, in a football city, a football state, than just being consistently competitive? That's not too much to ask, I don't think. So yes, Zach, we'll press pause from now. We're on 3%. I appreciate you for talking with me about the top part of the NBA draft. We'll circle back. We'll cover some of the rest of the draft picks a little bit later, and we'll get into some football. Please follow us on all the platforms that we have, The New American Media and The Unhappy Hour. I'm going to sign off for now. Zach, I appreciate your time. You have a good night, sir. And for everybody else out there, I appreciate you, and we will talk again soon. Have a good night. All right, so right there, we are going to I believe we released Zach from the phone call. So Zach is gone. Let me go ahead and run through the quick list of questions. What are the comments that we have here? Sorry, I'm closing all these windows. Do I think the Cavs will get more players? Well, look, I mean, you asked me that a while ago, so obviously let's take a look here. Nothing in round 1. Round 2, nothing yet. Cavs do not have anything in the second round. Could they move back in to get someone? Of course they could. Of course they could. Vernon Carey Jr. goes to the Hornets. Man, these logos are so small. Daniel Oturu going to Minnesota. Theo Maledon going to the Sixers. Xavier Tillman going to the Kings. All right, so that's what we got. Let's go to the rest of your comments, and we're going to bounce this. Okay. Nick said they'll trade the 33rd pick. All right. Caught with a weapon. There's that. Malcolm laughing that he said he looked like Durant. He did look like Durant. That was exactly what I thought of. Just this beanpole, skinny little thing. Anyway, all right. I appreciate you guys for watching. I love draft night, whether it's the NFL. I don't care about baseball. I've never cared about baseball draft. Why is that? All right, that's our second question of the day. Why don't we care about the second question of the day? Why don't we care about the Major League Baseball draft the same way we do with the NBA and the NFL, and to elect even the NHL? Why is Major League Baseball so far down? Many more rounds, they have many more players. Maybe it takes long to develop, and they trade them in the minor leagues so you get to follow them. Whereas, first round draft picks in football and basketball, they jump in, they're instant starters, and you get to see them and develop with it. Maybe that's the reason, but maybe there's another reason. So we'll make that our second question of the day. But I want to thank you all for joining me. I think I'm going to go live again. I might turn around and just bounce and do a live show with my buddy Blake. Do a TNAM night show, episode number 2. We're really relaunching and rebranding and doing a lot of different content now. I'm over it. I'm over getting shadow banned. I'm over getting silenced by Facebook. I'm over, having accounts deactivated, having pages disappeared. I'm over I'm over it. I'm going to talk as much as I need to. I'm a rational human being. I'm allowed my opinion and my curiosity on the world. And I'm going to talk on YouTube until I can't. I'm going to talk on Periscope and Twitter until I can't. I'll move over to Parler. I'll go on Gab. I'll go on MeWe. I'm going to keep going. I don't care where I have to go, but I'm going to keep talking. So for all of you sports fans out here who listen to this program, thank you so much. We have 8 or 9 years of content. If you go back through the archives of what we've done here at the New American Media, please check it out. It's been interesting content. I know sports content can age a little differently than politics. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I tend to, caught it. I tend to live in the moment more than I do tend to go back and revisit where we've been. But I think what we're going to do is maybe go to a quick show with Blake, if he's still up for it, and kind of cover today's news. This is a new segment we're going to do, TNAM News at Night. TNAM Night, the TNAM, what do we call it? TNAM, the TNAM Night Show, the Night Show. The TNAM Night Show. So special thanks to Zach for joining us. Special thanks to you for leaving comments here. Subscribe, all those things. I appreciate you. I love you, and we'll talk again soon. Take care. Peace.